HMCS Halifax is a Halifax-class frigate that has served in the Royal Canadian Navy and Canadian Forces since 1992. Halifax is the lead ship in her class, which is the name for the Canadian Patrol Frigate Project.She is the second vessel to carry the designation HMCS Halifax. She carries the hull classification symbol FFH 330. She is assigned to Maritime Forces Atlantic and is home-ported at CFB Halifax in her namesake city, Halifax, Nova Scotia, a name that was also borne by HMCS Halifax, a Flower-class corvette during the Second World War, as well as the very first warship built in Halifax, HMS Halifax. Description and design. The Halifax-class frigate, design of which Halifax belongs, was ordered by the Canadian Forces in 1977 as a replacement for the aging Street, Laurent, Restigouche, Mackenzie, and Annapolis classes of destroyer escorts, which were all tasked with anti-submarine warfare. In July 1983, the federal government approved the budget for the design and construction of the first batch of 6 new frigates, of which Halifax was a part, out of 12 that were eventually built. To reflect the changing long-term strategy of the Navy during the 1980s and 1990s, the Halifax-class frigates was designed as a general-purpose warship with particular focus on anti-submarine capabilities. As built, the Halifax-class vessels displaced 4,750 long tons and were 134.65 meters long overall and 124.49 meters between perpendiculars, with a beam of 16.36 meters and a draft of 4.98 meters. That made them slightly larger than the Iroquois-class destroyers. The vessels are propelled by 2 shafts with Escher-Wyss controllable pitch propellers driven by a Decoy system of 2 General Electric LM250 gas turbines, generating 47,500 shaft horsepower and 1 SEMTPL Stick 20 Pennsylvania 6 V280 diesel engine, generating 8,800 shaft horsepower. This gives the frigates a maximum speed of 29 knots and a range of 7,000 nautical miles at 15 knots while using the diesel engines. Using the gas turbines, the ships have a range of 3,930 nautical miles at 18 knots. The Halifax-class have a complement of 198 naval personnel, of which 17 are officers and 17 aircrew, of which 8 are officers. Armament and aircraft. As built, the Halifax-class vessels deployed the CH-124 Sea King helicopter, which acted in concert with shipboard senses to seek out and destroy submarines at long distances from the ships. The ships have a helicopter deck fitted with a bear trap system, allowing the launch and recovery of helicopters in up to sea state 6. The Halifax-class also carries a close-in anti-submarine weapon in the form of the Mark Chapter 46 torpedo, launched from twin Mark Chapter 32 Mod 9 torpedo tubes in launcher compartments either side of the forward end of the helicopter hangar. As built, the anti-shipping role is supported by the RGM-84 Harpoon Block 1C surface-to-surface missile, mounted in 2 quadruple launch tubes at the main deck level between the funnel and the helicopter hangar. For anti-aircraft self-defense, the ships are armed with the Sea Sparrow vertical launch surface-to-air missile in 2 Mk-48 Mod 08 cell launches placed to port and starboard of the funnel. The vessels carry 16 missiles. A Raytheon General Dynamics Phalanx Mark Chapter 15 Mod 21 close-in weapon system is mounted on top of the helicopter hangar for last-ditch defense against targets that evade the Sea Sparrow. As built, the main gun on the forecastle is a 57mm 70 caliber Mark Chapter 2 gun from Bofors. The gun is capable of firing 2.4-KILOGRAM shells at a rate of 220 rounds per minute at a range of more than 17 kilometers. Countermeasures and Senses. As built, the Decoy System comprises two BAE Systems Shield Mark Chapter 2 decoy launches which fire Chapter 2 kilometers and infrared rockets to 169 meters in distraction, confusion and centroid seduction modes. The torpedo decoy is the AN SLQ-25A Nixie towed acoustic decoy from Argonne Street, the ship's radar warning receiver. The CANEWS SLQ-501 and the radar jammer SLQ-505 were developed by Thorn and Lockheed Martin Canada. 2000 Netherlands SPG-503 fire control radars are installed, one on the roof of the bridge and one on the raised radar platform immediately forward of the helicopter hangar. The ship is also fitted with Raytheon and SPS-495 long-range active air search radar operating at C and D bands, Ericsson HC-150C Giraffe medium-range air and surface search radar operating at G and H bands, and Kelvin Hughes Type 1007 I-band navigation radar. The sonar suite includes the CANTASS Canadian Towed Array and GDC and SQS-510 hull-mounted sonar and incorporates an acoustic range prediction system. The sonar buoy processing system is the GDC and UYS-503 service. The frigate's keel was laid down on the 19th of March 1987 by St. John Shipbuilding Limited at St. John, New Brunswick, the first warship constructed in Canada since 1971. The vessel was launched on the 30th of April 1988. The ship was provisionally accepted by the Canadian Forces in June 1991. This was followed by a year of sea trials, which after a series of issues that arose during the trials led to modifications in later vessels of the design. The ship was commissioned into the Canadian Forces on the 29th of June 1992. On the 2nd of April 1994, Halifax sailed to relieve the destroyer Iroquois as Canada's contribution to the naval blockade of Yugoslavia in the Adriatic Sea. While in transit to Adriatic, one of the ship's diesel engines broke down and the frigate was forced to continue on gas turbines only. Halifax's tour ended when the ship returned to CFB Halifax on the 9th of September. In early 1995, the frigate sailed to Europe and made several port visits in connection with the 50th anniversary of the end of the Second World War in Europe. Halifax then took part in the NATO naval exercise Linked Seas off Portugal, returning to Halifax in June. On the 18th of March 1996, Halifax departed for the Adriatic for a second tour with the Embargo Force, operating as flagship of the group for part of the ship's deployment. In 1998, the frigate took part in the NATO naval exercise Strong Resolve off Norway and assisted in the recovery operation following the crash of Swissair Flight 111. In 2000, Halifax deployed with NATO's SDANAVFORLANT fleet between the 26th of July and the 15th of December. Halifax departed Halifax on the 15th of August 2001 to join SDANAVFORLANT. However, on the 8th of October 2001 the ship was diverted for combat operations in the Indian Ocean following the September 11th attacks on the United States. The frigate was the first Canadian ship on station and was deployed in the North Arabian Sea, integrated into the US Carl Vinson Carrier Battle Group. Halifax was replaced by sister ship Toronto in December. The ship returned to Halifax on the 11th of February 2002. On the 13th of January 2010, as part of Operation Hestia, it was announced that Halifax would be deployed to the waters around Haiti to assist in relief efforts after the January 2010 earthquake, along with the destroyer Athabascan. Specifically, Halifax was to be deployed outside the area of Jacmel, which was slow to receive aid due to the fact the roads were cut off and the airport was too small to handle large aircraft. The frigate arrived off Jacmel on the 18th of January. Halifax provided air traffic control for Jacmel Airport on the ship. The ship departed Haiti's waters on the 19th of February. On the 4th of September 2010, Halifax was turned over to Irving Shipbuilding's Halifax shipyards to start an 18-month midlife upgrading and modernization. Halifax participated in the acceptance trials of the new CH-148 Cyclone helicopters acquired for the Royal Canadian Navy. In September 2015, Halifax, along with Athabascan, were deployed for two large NATO training missions, Joint Warrior and Trident Juncture.